everyone, and a very, very warm welcome to the Matchbox Theatre. The Winslow Boy is our 96th production, and we are dedicating this to John Williams. Many of you, of course, will know John, Pat's wife. He died pretty recently, and he was a very, very long-term supporter of the Matchbox, and of course the host of the Normanhurst Festival, which we have for many, many years. So we're dedicating our performances to him. And when you go across to the hall for refreshments, we have got a table there with some leaflets about Lewy bodies, which was John's illness. And if you would like to make a donation in his name, that would be great. Phones, please make sure they're switched off, muted, and enjoy the play. We look forward to seeing you afterwards.
They'll be home in a minute. Well?
Yes?
Well, don't I get a hug? Oh, it's too grown up for that now.
Sorry, Violet.
Yes. Oh, that's better. Oh, my, what a big boy you're getting. Quite the little naval officer, aren't you?
Yes, that's right.
Yes. Oh, well, I suppose I better get going. This won't get the baby washed. Do you think my dress is a little bit... Oh, just a little bit.
A word he said.
He's a good man, Grace.
What's the use of being good if you're inaudible?
Ah, problem in ethics for you, Father.
Grace, let's drop.
Oh dear, it's coming on to rain.
I'm on Mother's side. The old boy's so doddering now, he can hardly finish the course at all. I timed him today. It took him 75 seconds from a flying start to reach the pulpit. And then he needed a whip coming around the bend. I call that pretty bad going.
I'm afraid I don't really think that's very funny, Richard.
Oh, don't you, Father?
Doddery as Mr. Jackson may appear now, I very much doubt if when he was at Oxford he failed in his past model.
Dash it, Father. You promised you weren't going to mention that again this vow.
You did, you know, Arthur.
There was a condition to my promise, if you remember, that Dickie would provide me with reasonable evidence of his intention to work.
Well, haven't I? Didn't I stay in all last night, a Saturday night, and work?
You stayed in, Dickie. I should be the last to deny that.
You were making a rather noise with that old gramophone of yours. I can't believe you're doing much work with that going on.
Funnily enough, Mother, it helped me to concentrate.
Concentrate on what?
Work, of course.
Well, that wasn't exactly what you appeared to be concentrating on when I came down to fetch a book. Sleep, may I say, having been rendered out of the question by the hideous sounds emanating from this room.
Edwina and her brother just stopped in their way to Graham's dance. They only stayed a minute. We were practicing a new dance, the bunny hug. I do work awfully fast, you know, once I get down to it.
Indeed. That assertion can hardly be based on experience, I take.
Dash it, Father, you're laying into me a bit this morning.
I think it's time that you found out, Dickie, that I'm not spending £200 a year keeping you at Oxford, merely that you may make a lot of useless friends and learn to dance the bunny hop.
Hug, Father.
The exact description of the obscenity is immaterial.
Father's quite right, Dickie. You have been going apace this bag.
Yes, I know, Mother, but the season's nearly over now.
I wish you were as good about work as Ronnie.
Oh, I like that. That's a bit thick, I must say. All Ronnie ever has to do with is footling little homework is add 2 and 2 together, while
Ronnie, may I remind you, is at least proving a good deal more successful at adding 2 and 2 together than you were when you were his age.
Oh, yes, I know. He got into Osborne and I failed. That's going to be brought up again.
Nobody's bringing it up, dear.
Yes, they are. It's going to be brought up against me all my life. Ronnie's the good little boy and I'm the bad little boy. You've just stuck a couple of labels on us that nothing on earth is ever going to change.
It's so absurd, dear.
It's not absurd. It's quite true, isn't it, Kate?
I'm sorry, Dickie, I wasn't listening. Is what quite true?
That in the eyes of Mother and Father, nothing Ronnie does is ever wrong and nothing I do is ever right.
If I were you, Dickie dear, I'd go and have a nice lie down before lunch.
Perhaps you're right.
Isn't that stupid of him to say that about labels? There's no truth in it at all. Is there, Kate?
No, Mother.
Oh dear, it's simply pelting. What are you reading, Kate?
Len Rogers' memoirs.
Who's Len Rogers?
He's a trades union leader.
Does John know you're a radical?
Oh, yes.
And a suffragette?
Certainly.
And he still wants to marry you?
He seems to.
Oh, by the way, I've asked him to come early for lunch so you can have a few words with your father first.
Good idea. Father, you haven't primed, haven't you?
What's that?
You know what you're going to say to John, don't you? You're not going to let me down or anything and forbid the match, are you? Because if you do, I warn you, I shall elope.
Never fear, my dear. I'm far too delighted at the prospect of getting you off our hands at last.
I'm not sure I like that at last.
You love him, dear.
Oh, John? Yes?
You're a funny girl. You don't show your feelings much. You don't behave as if you were in love.
How does one behave if one was in love?
One doesn't read Len Rogers. One reads Byron.
I do both.
An odd combination.
A very satisfying one.
I mean, you don't talk about him much, do you?
No, I suppose I don't.
I don't think you modern girls have the feelings our generation did. It's this new woman attitude.
Very well, Mother. I love John in every way a woman can love a man. And far, far more than he loves me. Does that satisfy you?
Really, Kate, darling, I didn't ask for anything quite like that. What are you laughing at, Arthur?
One up to the new woman.
Nonsense. She misunderstood me, that's all. Oh, just look at that rain. Kate, does Desmond know about you and John?
I haven't told him. On the other hand, if he hasn't guessed, he must be very dense.
He is very dense.
No, he's quite clever if you really get under his skin.
Oddly enough, I've never had that inclination.
Well, I think he's a dear. You will be kind to him, won't you, Kate?
Yes, Mother, of course I will.
Poor old Desmond. He really is a good sort. Hello. There's someone in our garden.
Where?
Over there, do you see?
No.
You just got by that bush. It was a boy, I think. Probably Mrs. Williamson's awful little dentist.
Well, whoever it was, he must be getting very wet.
Well, why can't he stick to his own garden? Is that John?
Yes, it sounds like it.
Yes, it is. Quick, into the dining room.
Right.
You've forgotten your hat and your bag.
on?
We're leaving you alone with John. When you've finished, cough or something.
What do you mean, or something?
I know, knock on the door with your stick 3 times and then we'll come in.
You don't think that might look a trifle coincidental?
It's Mr. Waterstone. The boy I love is up in the garden.
Hello, John. Very glad to see you.
How do you do, sir?
Well now, I understand that you wish to marry my daughter.
Well, yes, sir. Well, that is, I proposed to her and she has done me the honour of accepting.
I see. I trust when you corrected yourself just now, your second statement wasn't a denial of your first. I mean, you really do wish to marry her.
Of course, sir.
Why, of course. There are plenty of people about who don't wish to marry her.
Well, I say of course because I proposed and she's accepted.
Well, of course, that too doesn't necessarily follow. However, we don't need to quibble. We'll take the sentimental side of the project for granted. As regards the more practical aspects, perhaps you won't mind if I ask you a few rather personal questions?
Naturally not, sir. It is your duty after all.
Quite so. Now, your income, are you able to live on it?
No, sir. I'm in the regular army.
Of course.
However, my income is supplemented by an allowance from my father.
So I understand. Now, your father's would be, I take it, about £24 a month?
Well, yes, sir. Exactly right.
So that your total income, your subaltern's pay and allowances, and your father's allowance would be, I take it, about £420 a year.
Yes, sir. Exactly the figure.
Well, that seems most satisfactory. I really don't think I need to delay my congratulations any longer.
Thank you, sir.
I must thank you for being so frank and informative.
Not at all.
Your answers to my questions deserve an equal frankness from me regarding Catherine's own affairs. She's not, I'm afraid, in case you thought otherwise, the daughter of a rich man.
I did not think otherwise, sir.
The Westminster Bank pays me a small pension. My wife has a couple of hundred a year of her own. Apart from that, we have nothing except such savings as I've been able to make during my time with the bank. Now, aside from the ordinary expenses of life, I have 2 sons to maintain, one at Osborne and one at Oxford, neither of whom, I'm afraid, will be in a position to support themselves for some time to come. One because of his extreme youth, and the other because of other reasons. So you see, I'm not in a position to be particularly lavish as regards Catherine's dowry.
I quite see that, sir.
I propose to settle on her 1/6 of my total capital. Let us deal in round figures and say £850.
I call that very generous.
Well, not as generous as I'd like, I'm afraid, but as my wife would say, beggars can't be choosers.
Exactly, sir.
Well, if that arrangement is agreeable to you, I really don't think we have anything more to discuss.
No, sir.
Splendid.
Pretty rotten weather, isn't it, sir?
Oh, yes, vile. Would you care for a cigarette?
Oh, no, thank you, sir.
Well, imagine that, my wife and daughter in here of all places. Come in, Grace. Come in, Catherine. John's here.
Why, John, how nice. My, don't you look swell? Doesn't he, darling?
Quite.
Well,
Well, what?
how did your little talk go?
I understood that you weren't supposed to know we were having a little talk.
Oh, you are infuriating. Is everything all right, John?
Yes, Mrs. Windsor.
Oh, I'm so pleased. I really am.
Thank you, Mrs. Windsor.
May I kiss you? After all, I'm practically your mother now.
Yeah, and I, by the same token, am practically your father, but if you will forgive me,
Now, I'm sure you two won't mind being left together for a few minutes.
Oh, yes.
Was
ordeal?
I was scared to death.
My poor darling.
The funny thing is, I had a whole load of neatly turned out phrases ready for him, and he wouldn't let me use them.
Oh, such as?
Oh, how I was proud and honoured by your acceptance of me, how I was determined to make you a loving and devoted husband, and to keep you in the manner to which you are accustomed, all that sort of thing, very sincerely.
Anything about loving me?
Oh, well, I thought we could take that for granted. So did your father, incidentally.
How did your father take it?
Yeah, all right.
I bet he didn't.
Oh, well, he's been wanting me to get married for years. Wants grandchildren, I suppose.
He disapproves of me, doesn't he?
Oh, no, what makes you think that?
He's got a way of looking at me through his monocle that
Oh.
shrivels me up.
That's just him being a colonel, darling. All colonels look at you like that. Anyway, how about the way your father looks at me? Tell me, are all your family as scared of him as I am?
Well, Dickie is, of course, and Ronnie. Though he needn't be, Father adores him. You know, I don't know if Mother is. Perhaps sometimes. But I'm not. Not ever.
You're not scared of anything, are you?
Oh, yes, heaps of things.
Such as?
Well, they are nearly all concerned with you.
Well, you might be a little more explicit.
Kate.
Oh, Ronnie, my lord.
Where's Father?
I'll go get
No,
him.
don't. Please, Kate, don't.
No, what's wrong, Ronnie? What's wrong? Oh, you're soaking wet. You better go and change.
No.
What's the matter, darling? You know John Wollaston, don't you? You met him last holidays. Do you remember?
Oh, disappear.
In there, do you mind? Now, what's the trouble? Have you run away? Nothing more, is it? Oh, Lord.
I didn't do it. Kate, I didn't. Really, I didn't.
This letter was addressed to Father. Did you open it? You shouldn't have done that.
I was going to tear it up, but then I heard you coming from church and I didn't know what to do. I ran into the garden.
Did they send you up alone?
They sent a petty officer with me. He was supposed to wait to see Father, but I sent him away. Kate, should we tear it up now?
No, darling.
We can tell Father to have it ended 2 days sooner.
No, no.
Kate, I didn't do it. Really, I didn't.
Oh, hello, Ronnie, old lad. How's everything?
You knew he was here.
Yes, his trunks and things are all over our room. Trouble?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Look, you stay here with him. I'm going to find Mother.
All right. What's up, old chap?
Nothing.
Come on, tell me.
It's all right.
Have you been sacked? Bad luck. What for?
I didn't do it.
No, of course you didn't.
Honestly, I didn't.
Don't worry, old chap, I believe you. No need to go on about it.
You don't believe me.
Well, I don't know what they've sacked you for yet.
Stealing.
Oh, is that all? Good Lord, I didn't know they sacked chaps for that these days. Why, in school we used to pinch everything we could jolly well get our hands on, all of us. Believe me, old chap, pinching for nothing, nothing at all. I say, you're a bit damp, aren't you?
The night away.
You're shivering a bit too, aren't you? Wouldn't you go and change? You don't want to be catching pneumonia.
All right.
There, darling. It's all right now.
I didn't do it, Mother.
No, of course you didn't. Now let's take you upstairs and get you out of those nasty wet clothes.
Don't talk, Father.
No, darling, not yet, I promise. Now come along. Your new uniform too. What a shame.
Well, better go keep the cavey for them. Ward off the old man if he looks like going upstairs. I say, who's going to break the news to him eventually?
Oh, please don't let's think about that now.
Well, you can count me out. In fact, I don't want to be within 1,000 miles of that explosion.
John?
Bad news. That's rotten. I'm awfully sorry.
How can people be so cruel?
Expelled, I suppose.
Why torture a child of that age, John? What's the point of it all?
And what's he supposed to have done?
Oh, stolen some money.
Oh.
10 days ago it said in the letter. Why on earth didn't they let us know? Just think what that poor little creature's been going through those last 10 days down there. No one to look after him and then come up at the end of it to London. And with a petty officer, is it any wonder he's out of his mind?
Well, it does seem pretty heartless, I must admit.
Heartless? John, this is cold, calculated inhumanity. If I had the
Darling,
commanding officer here
darling,
for 2 minutes, I would...
Darling, you have every right to be angry, but you have to bear in mind, he's not in school, he is in the service.
What difference does that make?
Well, they have ways of doing things in the service that might seem to an outsider horribly brutal, but they are always scrupulously fair. You can take it from me. There would have been a full inquiry before they'd take a step of this sort. And what's more, if there's been a delay of 10 days, it would only be to give the boy time to prove his innocence. I'm sorry, Catherine. I shouldn't have opened my mouth.
What you said was quite right.
It was tactless of me.
That's all right.
I'm sorry. Forgive me?
Nothing to forgive.
How will your father tell?
It'll probably kill him. Oh, heavens, we've got Desmond to lunch. I forgot to... Desmond Curry, our family solicitor. Darling, you will be polite to him, won't you?
Well, am I usually so rude to your guests?
No, it's just that he doesn't know about us yet.
Who does?
Father, it's been a family joke. He's been in love with me for years.
Mr. Curry! Is the Spaniard the blighted midnight traveller?
Hello, Desmond. I don't think you know John Motherstone.
No, I've heard of about it.
No. How do you do?
Well. I trust I'm not early.
No, Desmond, dead on time as always.
Capital.
Pretty
Tell me,
ghastly
Des-
when... No, sorry. You go.
It's all right. I was only going to ask you how your cricket match went yesterday.
Not too well, I'm afraid. My shoulder's still giving me trouble. Well. I hear I'm to congratulate you both.
Desmond, you know.
Yes, well, Violet told me just now in the hall. Yes, I must congratulate you both.
Thank you, Desmond.
Yes. Thank you, Desmond.
Of course, it's quite expected, I know. Quite expected. Still, it was rather a surprise hearing it like that. From Violet in the hall.
We were going to tell you, Desmond dear. It was only official this morning. In fact, you are the first person to hear it.
Am I? Am I indeed? Well, I'm sure you'll both be very happy together.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Only this morning. Fancy.
Oh, hello, Desmond dear.
Hello, Mrs. Winslow.
I've got him to bed.
Good.
Nobody ill, I hope?
No, nothing wrong at all.
Grace, when did we last have the cellars seen to?
I can't remember, dear.
In a shocking state. Oh, hello, Desmond. How are you? Oh, you're not looking well.
Am I not? I've strained my shoulder, you know.
Oh, why do you play these ridiculous games of yours, Desmond? Resign yourself to the onrush of middle age and abandon them, my dear Desmond.
Oh, no, I could never do that. Not about cricket. Not altogether.
I say, are you any relation to D.W.H. Curry, who used to play for Middlesex?
I am D.W.H. Curry.
Curry?
No, we had a great man in the room.
Curry of Curry's match.
That's right.
Hat-trick against the players in, what year was it?
95, at Lord's. 26 overs, 9 maidens, 37 runs and 8 wickets.
Did you know you used to be a schoolboy hero of mine? I had a signed picture of you.
Oh, I used to sign it off once, for schoolboys, I remember.
Only for schoolboys, Desmond.
I fear so, yes. Girls took no interest in cricket in those days.
D.W.H. Curry, here in person. Who would have thought it, eh?
I know. Very few people would nowadays.
Oh no, Desmond, John didn't mean it like that.
I fear he did. This is the main trouble. Too much office work and too little exercise.
Nonsense. Too little office work and too much exercise.
You rang, sir?
Oh, yes, Violet. Would you bring some glasses, please?
Oh, yes, sir. Champagne Charlie's Brigade.
I thought we might try a little of the Madeira before lunch. We're celebrating, you know, Desmond. My wife's 54th birthday.
Oh, really?
No, it's all right, Father. Desmond does know.
Oh.
Yes, it's wonderful news, isn't it? I'm most glad to drink a toast to
Happy pair, I think is the phrase that is eluding you.
Well, actually, I was looking for something new to say.
Oh, a forlorn quest, my dear Desmond.
Arthur, really, you mustn't be so rude.
No, well, I only meant naturally that no one, with the possible exception of Voltaire, would possibly find anything new to say about an engaged couple. Oh, my dear Dickie, just in time. You can join us in a toast to celebrate Kate's engagement to John.
Oh, is that all finally spliced up now? Kate definitely been withdrawn to stud. Good egg.
Yes, quite so. I should have added just now, with the possible exception of Voltaire and Dickie Winslow. Take those round with you, Violet, please.
Yes, sir. Father, may we drink to our own health?
No,
Oh, yes, I think it's permissible.
no, it's bad luck.
Well, we defy augury, don't we, Kate?
You mustn't say that, John. Dear. I know you can drink each other's health, that's all right.
Are my wife's superstitious terrors allayed?
No. But
Good.
go ahead.
Catherine and John.
Catherine and
John.
Violet! We mustn't leave you out. You must join us in this toast.
Oh, thank you very much, sir. Not too much, sir. Just that.
Yes, your reluctance would be more convincing, Violet, if I hadn't noticed you brought an extra glass.
I didn't bring it for myself, sir. I bought it for Master Ronnie, Miss Kate and Mr. John.
You brought an extra glass for Master Ronnie, Violet?
Yes, sir. I thought you might allow him a sip as he's that grown up these days, just to drink the toast.
Violet, Master Ronnie isn't due back from Osborne until Tuesday.
Oh, no, sir. He came back unexpectedly this morning all by himself.
No, Violet, that's not true. Somebody's been playing you a joke.
Well, I saw him in here with my own two eyes, and then I heard Mrs. Winslow talking to him in...
Grace, what does this mean?
All right, Violet, you can go now.
Yes, miss.
Did you know Ronnie was here?
Yes, Father.
And you, Dickie?
Yes, Father.
Grace?
We thought you shouldn't know for the time being, but only for the time being, Arthur.
What's the matter? Is the boy ill? Answer me, someone! Why must I be kept in the dark like this? Surely I have a right to know. If the boy is ill, I should be with him.
No, Father, he is not ill.
Will someone tell me what has happened, please?
He brought this letter.
Read it to me, please.
Arthur, not in
Read
writing
it
yet.
to me, please.
Confidential. I am commanded by my Lords Commissioners of the Admiralty to inform you that they have received a communication from the commanding officer of the Royal Naval College at Osborne reporting the theft of a 5-shilling postal order at the college on the 7th instant, which was afterwards cashed at the post office. Investigation of the circumstances of the case leaves no other conclusion possible than the postal order was taken by your son, Cadet Rudolph Winslow. My lords deeply regret that they must therefore request you to withdraw yourself from the college. It's signed by someone, I can't quite read his name.
Desmond, would you be so good as to call Violet? Violet, would you ask Master Ronnie to come down and see me, please?
But he's in bed, Arthur.
You said he wasn't ill.
He's not not at all well.
Do as I say, Bun.
Very good, sir.
Perhaps the rest of you would like to go into luncheon. Grace, will you take them in?
Arthur, don't you think...
Desmond, will you go in, please? John?
Arthur,
Yes, Grace?
please don't. Please don't.
What mustn't I do, Grace?
Please don't forget he's only a child.
Come on, Mother.
Come in. Come in. Close the door. Come over here. Why aren't you in your uniform?
It got wet.
How did it get wet?
I was out in the garden in the race.
Why?
I was hiding.
From me? Do you remember? You once promised me if ever you were in trouble of any kind, you would come to me first.
Yes, Father.
Why didn't you come to me now? Why did you have to go and hide in the garden?
I don't know, Father.
Are you so frightened of me? In this letter, it says that you stole a postal order. Now, I don't want you to say a word until you've heard what I have to say. If you did it, you must tell me. I won't be angry with you, Ronnie, provided you tell me the truth. But if you tell me a lie, I shall know it. Because a lie between you and me can't be hidden. I shall know it, Ronnie. Remember that before you speak. Did you steal that postal order?
No, Father, I didn't.
Did you steal that postal order?
No, Father, I didn't.
Go on back to bed. And I trust that in future, a son of mine will at least have the sense to come in out of the rain.
Yes, Father.
Hello. Hello, you there? Yes, I wish to make a trunk call, please. The Royal Naval College at Osborne. Replace the receiver? Yes, certainly.
the doctor still with him?
Yes.
What's the verdict? Do you know?
I heard him say father needs a complete rest.
Don't we all?
Well, it doesn't look as if you did. He said he ought to go to the country for a while and forget about all his troubles.
Oh, fat chance of that, I'd say.
I know.
Oh, I say, you look a treat. New dress.
No. Is it likely? It's an old one I've had done up.
Oh, where are you going to?
Daly's, dinner first, but all right.
Nice. I don't suppose you would fancy taking me along with you, I suppose?
You suppose quite correctly?
John wouldn't mind.
I dare say not. I would.
I wish I had someone to take me out. In this new feminine world of yours, you don't suppose women might be able to do some of the pain, do you?
Certainly.
Really? And in that case, the next time you're looking for someone to chain themselves to Mr. Ascot, you can jolly well call on me.
Edwina might take you out if you gave her the hint. She is very rich.
If I gave Edwina a hint of that sort, I wouldn't see her this side of doomsday.
You sound a little bitter, Dickie dear.
Not bitter, just realistic. Oh, the star! Good egg!
Nope.
You won't throw it away, will you, miss? Because if there's anything in it, Cook and I'd like to read it after you.
No, that's all right, Violet.
When father paid for the parlour, you can half a month.
Here it is. The Osborne cadet, there are 2 more letters. Sir, I am entirely in agreement with your correspondent Democrat concerning the scandalously high-handed treatment by the Admiralty in the case of the Osborne cadet. The efforts of Mr. Arthur Winslow to secure a fair trial for his son have evidently been thwarted at every turn by a soulless oligarchy.
Soulless oligarchy, that's rather good.
It is high time private and peaceful citizens of this country awoke to the increasing encroachment of their ancient freedom by the new despotism of Whitehall. The Englishman's home was once said to be his castle. It seems rapidly becoming his prison. Your obedient servant, Libertatis Amator.
Good for old Amator.
Here's another one. It's from Perplexed. Dear sir, I cannot understand what all the fuss is about in the case of the Osborne cadet. Surely we have more important matters to get ourselves worked up about than a 14-year-old boy and a 5-shilling postal order. Oh, it's a silly old fool.
How do you know he's old?
Isn't it obvious? With the present trouble in the Balkans and a certain major European power rapidly upbuilding our navy, the Admiralty might be forgiven if it stated it had rather more urgent matters to deal with than Master Ronnie Winslow's little troubles. A further inquiry before the Judge Advocate of the Fleet has now fully confirmed the original findings that the boy was guilty. I sincerely trust this will finally end this ridiculous and sordid little storm in a teacup. I am, sir, etc., perplexed.
This correspondence must now cease. Editor. Damn.
Oh dear, how hopeless it seems sometimes.
It does, doesn't it? You know, Kate, don't give me away to the old man, but I think if it wasn't my own brother, I might well have seen Perplexed Point.
Might you?
Yes, I mean, thinking about it from every angle, it does seem rather much ado about damn all. I mean, say a mere matter of pinching. And it's so beastly expensive. When's the happy date now?
Oh, it's postponed again.
Oh no, why?
His father's gone abroad for 6 months.
Oh, why pay any attention to that old gentleman?
I wouldn't, but John does, so I have to.
I say, nothing wrong, is there?
No.
I mean, you're not going to be left at the auto rails or anything.
No, getting past the auto rails if I had to drag him there.
You think you might have to?
Quite frankly, yes.
Competition?
No, just differences of opinion.
Well, take some advice from an old hand, will you?
Oh, yes.
Suppress your opinions. Men don't like them in their lady friends, even if they agree with them. And if they don't, well then, it's fatal. Pretend to be half-witted or something like Edwina. Then he'll adore you.
No, I do sometimes, but then I forget. Still, you needn't worry. There's never a doubt between what I feel and what I believe. There isn't much doubt about what will win.
That's the girl. Although, I don't know why you didn't fall in love with that Ramsay MacDonald. What did the doctor say?
He said, if I remember his exact words, that we weren't quite as well as when we last saw each other. That information seems expensive at a guinea. Oh, the star. May I see, please?
Yes.
John will be calling for you here, I take it.
Yes, Father.
It might be better if you don't ask him in. This room will shortly be a clutter of journalists, barristers, solicitors and other impedimenta.
So Robert's coming to see you here?
Yeah.
Excuse me for a moment. I've just got to do something about my hair.
What's the matter with your hair?
No, nothing much. I just don't like it.
I wonder if I could sue Perplexed.
Might be a way of getting the case into court.
On the other hand, he has not been libelous, merely base. Do you mind if I disturb you for a moment?
No, Father.
I want to ask you a question. What do you suppose that one of your bookmaker friends would lay in the way of odds against your getting a degree?
What do you think? About evens?
I rather doubt if at that price your friend would find many takers.
Let's say 74 against.
I see. And the odds against your eventually becoming a civil servant?
Oh, a bit steeper, I suppose.
Exactly. Quite a bit steeper.
You don't want to make that, do you, Father?
No, Dicky. I'm not a gambler, and that's exactly the trouble. Unhappily, I'm no longer in a position to gamble £200 a year in what you yourself admit is an outside chance.
Not an outside chance, Father, a good chance.
Not good enough, I'm afraid. With things as they are, definitely not good enough. I fear that my mind is finally made up.
You want me to leave Oxford? Is that it?
I'm afraid so.
Straight away?
No, you can finish your second year.
And then what?
Well, I can get you a job in the bank. It'll be quite a good job. Luckily, my influence in the bank still counts for something.
Father, if I promise, I mean really promise that from now on I'd work like a Trojan. It's the case, I suppose.
It's costing me a lot of money.
Yes, I know, it must be. Still, isn't there any way? Oh, Lord.
This must be rather a shock to you. I'm sorry.
No, not really. In fact, I've been kind of expecting it. Especially since I hear you're looking to breed sorrow with Morton. Still, I can't say it isn't a bit of a slap in the face.
There is a journalist coming to see me. Would you mind if we talk about this some other time?
No, Father.
Oh, I shouldn't worry too much about those, if I were you.
Yes, you're probably right, Father. Father, I think I could do with a little spot or something. Do you mind?
No, of course. The decanter's on the sideboard.
Thanks.
I must thank you, Dicky, for bearing what must have been a very unpleasant blow with some fortitude.
Oh, right, Father.
It's the Daily News. Mr. Win, the photo of the girl I left behind.
Mr. Winslow, so good of you to see me.
How do you do?
You're surprised to see a lady reporter. I know, everyone is. And yet, why not? What could be more natural?
Oh, what, indeed? Pray, sit down.
My paper usually sends me out on stories that have a special appeal for women. Stories little heart, you know, like this one. A father's fight for his little son's honour.
Well, I venture to think that this case has rather wider implications than that.
Yes, indeed, I know. The political angle. Very interesting, but not quite my line of country. Now, what I'd really like is a nice picture of you and your little boy together. I brought my assistant and camera. They're in the hall. Ready?
My son will be arriving in a few moments. His mother has gone to the station to meet him. He's arriving from school.
Indeed. From school. You managed to get his school to take him. They didn't mind the unpleasantness.
No.
And why is he coming home this time?
Well, he hasn't been expelled again, if that is what you were implying. He is returning to London to be examined by Sir Robert Morton, whom we are hoping to brief in the matter.
Ooh, why, Sir Robert Morton.
Exactly.
And do you think he'll take a little case like this one?
This is not a little case, madam.
No, but Sir Robert Morton.
Well, I'm told he's the best advocate in the country. He's certainly the most expensive.
Well, I suppose if you're prepared to pay his fee, then you're prepared to get him from any case.
Once again, madam, this is not any case.
No. Well, perhaps you wouldn't mind giving me a few details. When did it all start?
9 months ago, first that I heard of the charge was when my son returned home from Osborne with a letter from the Admiralty informing me of his expulsion. We demanded from the Admiralty the fullest possible inquiry. For weeks we were ignored, then met with a blank refusal, and only finally received reluctant permission to view the evidence.
Really?
The evidence was entirely unsatisfactory. We requested from the Admiralty a court-martial. They ignored us. We requested from them a civil trial. They ignored us again.
No, they ignored you.
Yes, but after tremendous pressure had been brought to bear, letters to the press, questions in the House, the Admiralty finally agreed to what they described as an independent inquiry.
No good.
It was not good, madam. At that independent inquiry conducted by the Judge Advocate of the Fleet, against whom I am saying nothing, mind you, my son, a child of 14, was not represented by counsel, solicitors, or friends. Now, what do you think of that?
Fancy.
You may well say fancy.
And what happened at the inquiry?
Well, needless to say, he was found guilty again, and thus branded for a second time before the world as a thief and a forger.
What a shame.
I need hardly tell you, madam, that I am not prepared to let the matter rest there. I shall continue to fight this monstrous injustice with every weapon and every means at my disposal.
What charming colours. What are they made of?
Madam, I have no idea.
Do I hear poor little chap himself?
Hello, Ronnie.
I say, Mr. Moore says I'm to tell you that I needn't come back till Monday if you like. So that gives me 3 whole days.
Oh, how are you, my boy?
I'm absolutely topple, Father. Mother says I'm going an inch.
Now that's exactly the sort of picture I'd like to take. Would you hold it, Mr. Morton? Freddie? Oh, silly. That's the pose I suggest.
Yes, I thought so.
Ah, Grace, dear. This lady is from the Daily News. She's extremely interested in your curtains.
Oh, hi.
Easy! I'm going to sign the Daily News.
Well, it appears so.
Oh, good. They get the Daily News at the school library, and everyone's bound to see it. Right. Quiet still, please.